Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining the webcast today. This is Mike Toy with National Brokerage. I'm joined here with Greg Sabala, and I'm going to jump right in. It looks like we still have a few people joining, but I'm going to jump right into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today. So the subject today is capitalizing on your best source of leads. And the idea is we want to help you find the leads that you already have. Typically, people don't think about doing it this way, and so I'm trying to put a more emphasis on the highest quality leads that you can get that you already have. So I would start with a question. Where do your sales come from right now? Your life insurance sales, are you asking for referrals? Is that typically how you get your life insurance sales? And I would think about it for a second and just think, okay, of the last 5, 10 policies I sold, where did they come from? Did I ask for referrals to get those sales? Did I buy leads? If so, how much do the leads cost? Or is that a worthwhile program? Are you cold calling? Are you calling from a list yourself? Or are you maybe cross-selling other products from other products that you might sell? So I would ask yourself those questions and then ask yourself how that's working for you. How are you best capitalizing on that? And then once you've got a rough idea in your mind about where your sales are coming from there, a couple other questions that I would have you ask yourself is the leads that you already have, the clients that you already have in your database. Pardon me one second here, I have a technical difficulty.
Well, if I can just interject just real quickly on the spirit behind what we're doing, is the biggest opportunities a lot of times is the files that you currently have. And a lot of the different agents that we work with, they're oftentimes reluctant, or oftentimes, hey, I'm trying to stay focused on the next sale. I'm trying to get to that next particular client. And this is like an opportunity cost. This isn't a good thing in some of their eyes. So we're trying to show how it can be a diminished, not a lengthy process for you to unveil different opportunities, but also to maybe shed some light of what those opportunities are. So do you know who your clients are currently covered? And if not, ask, what insurance do they have right now? And I've been posed a question, actually, because as people have heard, National Brokerage and CoverTech are two companies that attack two different marketplaces. We have the independent brokerage space, obviously National Brokerage. We have the cover side, which is the institutional side. And we had one of the institutions, one of their FAs had asked a question, because I don't even know how to approach my client, because I don't know how to engage a client with a policy review. Because I understand it's important, but I don't know the first step. So one of the things that we're going to be trying to hit upon within this webcast is some of the approaches that you can do to shed a little light of different opportunities for the client, and also go down a path of having a successful conversation, and we'll kind of discuss what those successes are. So sorry for interrupting, Mike, but go ahead and proceed.
No, thank you. I was having an issue there. I got to figure it out. Thanks, Greg. So dovetailing from that and talking about how to approach your clients that you already have, regardless of where you got those clients from, whether you sold them a policy from another line of insurance or you sold them life insurance some time ago. So here's some ideas on how to approach them and things that work. Number one, just ask if they're currently covered. If you haven't sold them life insurance yet, just simply ask, do you currently have life insurance? It's really just that simple. Regardless of what they say, whether it's yes, whether it's no. If no, then of course go into why it's important, maybe run some quotes, do what you do there. If yes, you do have life insurance, that's great. Is it the new kind or the old kind? Oh, what do you mean? Oh, the new kind is the kind you don't have to die to use. And so there's your conversation in right there with that. If they do have life insurance and you've got the conversation rolling, then it doesn't have to feel like a sale. It doesn't have to, you don't have to have it feel like a sale to you, and it doesn't have to sound like a sale to them. It can be something simple. You're just checking their policy to make sure that they're not paying too much, or that they have the right amount of coverage. Or, actually Greg had a good idea yesterday that he brought up, simply saying that you want to do a beneficiary review to make sure that they have the right beneficiaries in place on their policy, so that in the event that benefit pays out, the right people are paid out. You never know. Someone might have gotten divorced or gotten married, or who knows what the case is. But when you ask that question, if you know who your beneficiaries are, and maybe even pause for a second and say, "Are you sure?" It probably will get them thinking on it. So that's a good way to lead into doing a policy review without it feeling like a sale. And then one other point to that I would recommend is make it a normal part of what you do. You don't have to say it every time to every person, but somehow work it into your normal routine once a month or once a week, once a quarter, however you do it. Just make it a normal part of what you do, because the agents that do make it a normal part of what they do compared to the ones that don't make far more money, and that's no exaggeration. In fact, I would say they make more money doing policy reviews than they do searching out new sales, whether they're buying leads or they are cross-selling, however it is that they're doing it. They actually make more money just reviewing policies than anything else. And it's the easiest way to do it, like we talked about earlier. You're not a cold call, it's not a sale, you're just reviewing their policy. So some ways that we can help you make it a part of your normal routine of what you do is some of the tools that we offer. You can just set up an automatic email drip campaign so that it sends out periodic emails and flyers to your client base. They're non-intrusive. It's not asking a million questions. Just something to stay in front of them and kind of keep it in the forefront of their mind. Here's a couple examples of some flyers, and these are just examples that we've done. We've got dozens and dozens of these. So if you need material to send your clients to just get the conversation going, talk to your marketing rep. As you can see on the examples here, in the bottom right-hand corner on one, bottom left-hand on the other, we would basically just put your logo on these flyers, or put your name and phone number, whatever you want on there. And then we just put it into your OES system and then set it up on that automatic drip campaign so that it sends out once a month or however often you want to do it. So if you aren't doing it yet and you're not making it a part of your normal routine, I would highly recommend doing it. Get with your marketing rep. We'll help you set that up, and we'll put your logo on some of these flyers. That being said, I'm going to hand it over to Greg for a moment.
Well, one thing I'd like to hit upon, because I'm seeing some of the audience that's on this webcast, and a lot of you have done a lot of repeat business with us, so we're probably preaching to the choir to a point on some of the different tools that we have available on these logos and on these particular flyers. One thing I'm a fan of, don't overcomplicate. If you want it in our system, awesome. If you just want the piece with a logo or no logo that you want to add into your emails, hey, Mr. Client, thanks a lot for the time, whatever the heck you discussed. Take a look at this flyer. Keep me in mind for your next policy review. I mean, whatever you want to do and you include a flyer, that would be fine as well. So we don't need to overcomplicate. We have a lot of tools behind the scenes to help augment what you do. But again, I'm about getting results. And sometimes the easiest result is just clicking on it, sending it to the client, having a little picture here that makes the client kind of think about it a little bit. But honestly, just putting a brief note down too. So just keep that in mind, because like I said, I'm looking at some of our audience here, and I should probably have them speaking rather than me, because they've done so much business with us. So we do appreciate it. The insurance opportunities, what I wanted to kind of hit upon, we are in a unique industry. We're in one of the industries is as you get older, you actually get better rewards. And what I mean by that is the cost of insurance is reducing, not increasing. Look at health insurance. Look at other modes of insurance that are out there right now. Rates aren't decreasing, they're increasing. Our internal cost of insurance is actually reducing. In 2019, you're going to see drastic changes from the carriers, and the reason being is they all need to be compliant to the new CSO tables, and they're probably going to be coming up with a lot of their product lines because of some of the new regulations that are coming up in 2020. So because of that, you're going to see even further rate changes in 2019, because all the companies are going to be scrambling to become compliant. It's because of January of 2020, they have to be compliant to the new rules and new laws that are out there. So again, drastic changes that are going to help us, but also bolster these types of practices where you're doing a policy review. One thing about plans and where do you have a prime candidate? If the client's been written years ago, you can go back to that particular individual and say, hey, let's do a policy review. We've been told on numerous times from different agents, hey, I'm the one that wrote them the initial policy. I don't want to go back to them, because if it's not a good policy, I'm the one that wrote it. I don't look at it that way at all. Our industry is drastically changing, and you are doing the client a service because you got them the best thing at the time of that marketplace. But you are proficient, and you are also a very good professional, so you're keeping the cutting edge products in front of your clients. So I would never look at that as, hey, I don't want to approach my client because I'm the one that sold them that product, and if I'm now touting against it, I feel like I'm diminishing my name. I think just the opposite is the effect. Is basically, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, we didn't have these available. 2-3 years ago, living benefits weren't available, and I'm getting in front of you to let you know so that you can make an educated decision. I can't think of a client that's going to have a problem with that. And if they do, gosh, I don't know what that problem would be. That would make you very proficient in showing opportunities to the client. Hey, you're still in a good product. You're still in a GUL or you're still in an IUL. It's still performing as we told you. However, I have a better vehicle now to better accommodate you. Shouldn't be, received in a bad manner. I think it'd be very positively received. Also, Vitality, that's the John Hancock, obviously, products. The reason I bring that up is oftentimes a client may not pull the trigger with that particular product line, but they like the conversation. They like knowing that I can do something that's impactful to my existing premium on policies that I have. If I'm active, if I see my physician, and if I'm reporting back, I can reap a financial benefit. Not to mention some of the different benefits that they have where you get reduced gym membership fees and things of that nature. But just on the life insurance itself, a client can impact their premiums. A lot of clients are really like that. If you have a table-rated case, oftentimes that can be very impactful because the client had a health concern, but he or she is very compliant with their physician. They're doing what they can. They're staying active. They're staying on top of it. Well, because of that and some of the reductions you can have, a table 2 can have a premium reflection of a table 1 because some of the vitality. So I bring that up. It's not a huge seller for us, but it's a very good concept. And it's something that does start a conversation, at least gets a client engaged in the insurance process. Plus cash accumulation, that's nothing new for the people that are on this particular call that I see. But again, it keeps on chipping in. The IULs are chipping away at the VULs. So basically it's kind of, hey, if you can have your candy and eat it too, or cake and eat it too, good, I guess candy since it's Halloween. But so, this is an opportunity for you to state to the client, there's not a real downside. You can't get stung on the product, but you do have an upside gain. Plus there's cash accumulation. It's just a huge piece of the marketing that is going out there right now, and it's cannibalizing the marketplace. So you want to basically be able to point out to the client, hey, I have you in a product currently that can't get you the cash accumulation. It can't get you the living benefits, and I have different options, and we want to review your current policy to see if we can take advantage of those opportunities. Policy views, why should we do it? I'll fly through this one. It's pretty no-brainer. The client can save money. The client can get better coverage. The client can take advantage of the living benefits that everyone's been harping on right now. And quite frankly, most clients don't know life insurance has that ability. I always kind of call it the Swiss Army knife. There's a lot of concerns that a client has. I don't want to outlive my estate that I've built up. I don't want to have things surprise me and take away from my estate that I built up. There's people that unfortunately have health concerns and they're feeling guilty that they're still alive. And what I mean by that, there's people that are going in the early stages of dementia. Now they see the LTC cost of things. They didn't have the insurance for it. They planned for retirement. They didn't plan for the bumps that could be in the road there. And now, gosh darn it, I'm bleeding my estate, and I can't leave what I wanted to leave to my children because I see what's happening here and I see what's going to go on. And unfortunately, people oftentimes are like, I wish I wasn't here because I'm bleeding on the estate. That is a terrible thing for a person to feel. Conversely, what if you have an insurance policy? That's a fear of people right now. If you have an insurance policy that has cash accumulation to diversify your retirement, it has a death benefit if you predecease your spouse or what have you, and heaven forbid you have a health concern that you can't do 2 activities a day of living, we have living benefits that you can take early capitalization of your death benefit. People gravitate to that because they're, okay, I have a peace of mind. Is it the cure-all for any of those 3 things? No. But it's a really good thing for all 3 of those things. Now a client can feel comfortable about the retirement years, what they have in retirement, because they have protection that doesn't just cover their untimely death, but covers a lot more on the living benefit side. So I think that's just a huge thing we always want to be touting in front of people, because it's just a good option to have. And one thing about it is, as a person grows older, when you're doing a policy review, their needs change drastically. When you're in your earning years and maybe you have children going to, in school or going to college, I need a bigger death benefit because I have a bigger exposure to pay for a lot of bills. Well, now my kids are grown. They're self-sufficient. They don't need me per se to financially make it in the world. Well, maybe I'm going to recalibrate. I'm not going to have a high death benefit term or a UL. I'm going to reduce that down to a permanent plan that has cash accumulation, living benefits, what have you. Or maybe I'm going to do a term policy that has living benefits. Granted, there's not a ton of companies that have that ability, but we do have companies that have that ability. So that's a good conversation to have with your clients as well. As life changes, it's a natural transition for you to have a conversation with your client, and quite frankly, an easy conversation. Benefits to you as the agent. I mean, this is the no kidding one, right? So new commissions, possibility of having other product sales, new exposure with existing clients, and opportunities for referrals. One thing about it is we have a success story from one of our agents that did a policy review. This is about 6 months ago, but they did a policy review. The client didn't actually proceed. The client was actually in a good position. We kind of recommended them to stay where they were. Their health had changed a little bit, so we thought they were better served just to stay in their existing plan. But it was a good experience with the client, and the client referred their sister for a sale. It wasn't huge, but it was a term sale. But now the agent gained, again, a new client and a new sale that was referred, and it was referred because the agent was so honest, basically stated, hey, you know what, this is a good policy for what's going on with you currently. But again, who is going to give you a referral? A person that trusts you, a person that is kind of putting their name behind you because they're doing the referral. I think that's huge, and I think that's the positives that we sometimes get of doing a policy review that we don't count on. Obviously, just different sales. I mean, that's a kind of an experience I think that's out there for all of us as opportunities. But to me, I don't think there is a bad result of a review. Even like the one I mentioned, we didn't even do anything, and it still ended up being a positive. And I think it always will be a positive to the client because we're always looking for the best interest of the client. I mean, if we're truly looking at the best interest of the client, how's that ever going to be negatively construed? So that's a really good opportunity for you to capitalize on it. Again, we have tools to help get in front of the client for you. But if you do get in front of them, how are you going to capitalize on it? This is what we want to hit upon. And this is something that I think kind of leads to the next slide, which is the conversation starters. And this is just basically, like Mike had already mentioned, do you have the old insurance or new? It's catchy. It's basically salesy, I admit it. But it does make a client think, because the client oftentimes thinks, well, I don't even know what you mean by that. I mean, what does that mean? Well, we have products now that we didn't have before that you don't have to die to benefit from. A lot of clients gravitate to that for two different reasons. If you've listened to my nauseating voice talk on many webcasts, I brought this up before. There's a LIMRA statistic that actually surprised me, and the younger age client, the millennials, they like the living benefits. They like permanent plans with cash accumulation. The thought process is, I don't like life insurance. Everyone gains but me. I mean, I die, I paid for the premium, and everyone gains but me. What's in it for me is kind of the subject matter that's been going on. They like the fact that, hey, if I have a stroke at age 40, I can't do 2 activities a day living. I'm capitalizing on my life policy. My policy is something tangible for me today. It has cash accumulation. If it's a permanent plan, that's something tangible for them today. And that was a pleasant surprise to know that younger age clients and older age clients are the two demographics that are gravitating to those products. I used to think term was the only thing for a younger age client, and that actually isn't what LIMRA statistics hold true. They say the clients want to know what's in it for them. So again, food for thought. It's a good opportunity to open a conversation. Do you know your beneficiaries? Who your beneficiaries are designated as? We are currently not really involved. We're kind of an outsider looking in. We currently have a case that we did not write. We were looking to help out the client. The client did not change his beneficiary on one of his policies, and he had a divorce years ago. So his ex-wife was the beneficiary. Well, now there's a legal battle because unfortunately the gentleman passed away, and he was actually pretty young, so it's kind of surprising, but he passed away, and now the current wife, which he's been married to for years, is suing the ex-wife for the death benefit. Talk about an ugly mess. But again, does a client really know who their beneficiary designations are? And another one that gets missed quite often is, I wrote a policy when I was 29 years old and I had my first child. So I had my wife as the beneficiary and my son as the contingent beneficiary. I never took a look at it again. Well, now I have two boys. I don't have my second boy noted as a contingent beneficiary. So if something happens to me, my wife, and my first son, there's nothing that tells that those death benefits, we all get killed in a car accident, there's nothing that says it goes to my remaining son. It would go to the estate. Again, now we're in probate, we're now in issues, that we're having concerns. It's a good door opener to say, hey, I'm looking at something as benign as a beneficiary designation. Oh, by the way, I'm looking at this policy. It doesn't look like it's funded property. You're in the 9th year of a 10-year term. We should look at something different. So there's different opportunities as a door opener, and you can use those examples, and it'll make a client really think, like Mike had mentioned, pause. Let them really think about it and point out. The reason I ask these questions is because here's two situations where a client got stung because they thought they had it dialed in and they didn't. I'll fly for the next 2 points. I want to get Mike back talking. So, one thing about on the coverage, keep it in plain English. Basically what we're trying to do is just, what disposable income do you have to pay for this if you're looking for it? And also, what are your concerns? I mean, to me, like on a policy for these clients is what keeps you up at night? Is it the fact that I might outlive my policy? Is it the fact that I might, get dementia in the future because they have a family experience of that? What keeps them up at night? That's what we're going to try to cover. And then if they know financially what they're trying to, look for as well, that's the information we need for our team to do our job. And we can set the table, do the quotes, and do a lot of research for you and get you the right product for what the client needs. So if it's term, what happens if the policy date expires? So if it's even close to the policy date expiration, that's an easy one to look at. And also if it's perm, is it still meeting what they need, and is it enough coverage for what they truly fear in life? So, I just wanted to kind of hammer on a few of those things. Mike's going to give you a few kind of examples, and then we're going to end the webcast. But I just wanted to kind of give you, a snapshot of what the opportunities you guys have in your file cabinets, and I'm very bullish on this. And one thing I will leave you with is, I've mentioned it on a couple of webcasts, honestly, we do client direct sales for some of the financial institutions. So they send us their clients, and then we do the sales directly with them, things of that nature. We've done a great deal of premium off of, do you have existing policies? Can we review them? So a client will call us in, they have a $250,000 term quote, we get them that quote, and then we ask them that other question. The bulk of the premium per case is by far off of that policy review, because we're doing permanent plans, we're doing a lot of different coverage, and there's a lot of zeros in that premium. Conversely, the term plan that we write isn't very hefty. So we're doing a lot of cases on the term for not as much premium. We're doing very few cases on the permanent side, but it's for obviously a multitude of premiums. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's a bigger premium opportunity for you. So I think we just all want to embrace it.
All right, good points there, Greg. And I'm glad you brought that up too. I always forget to mention that we have a tendency to look for those term cases, and we do lots and lots of them, and we do all the work involved, and maybe 4 or 5 of them equal one permanent plan. So good point. Excuse me. So one thing I want to point out, I've got a perfect real world experience to share, and if you've been on any of the other webcasts where I'm talking, you've probably heard me say this a number of times. So, but I think it's a perfect example. So we had an agent about this time last year, I think it was. He was a P&C agent, so he didn't focus on life primarily. He just did it, along with the other things that he sold. But he had sold a term policy to a woman about 9.5 years ago, and we just happened to be doing some kind of automated policy reviews, preliminary, which is something that if you don't know we do that, get with your rep. That is something that we can do for you. But anyways, we did that. we saw this policy that was set to expire in about 6 months. So we reached out to the agent and said, hey, you've got this person, bought a term policy, a 10-year term, 9.5 years ago. It's going to expire soon. Might want to reach out. So he reached out to her. As it turns out, it was $1 million policy, and she had developed cancer since she bought the policy. And she had, not only was it going to expire in 6 months, she was also coming up on the expiration to convert. So as it turned out, we ended up converting the policy. It went from a $1,300 annual premium that he sold 9 years ago to a $31,000 premium on an IUL. And she was happy to do it. I mean, at first, maybe balked a little bit at the premium, but when you do the math, $1 million for $31,000 a year is not too bad, considering she had cancer. So not only that, she didn't have any other options. Now, you don't want to be in a position where you have 0 options or 1 option, but nonetheless, that was the situation she was in, and the only reason that it was saved and the only reason that that sale happened for the agent is because we did a policy review. We just looked at it, looked at all the factors, brought it to their attention. She saved $1 million policy. He made a $31,000 sale out of thin air in his mind because he had no idea that the situation was happening. So it was a win-win-win for everybody. So regardless of whether you are a life person primarily or P&C agent or what have you, these opportunities are out there for everybody. Even if you hadn't been the one to sell the policy originally, that's a question I get asked a lot is, well, I didn't sell this policy originally, so I don't even know if I can. You can. You can sell the new policy. We can get a copy of the statement from the carrier or an in-force ledger, whatever the case is. So there are opportunities just sprinkled in everywhere. So if you're not sure where to look or whether it's for you, it is for you, and get with your rep. We'll help you locate these opportunities. Moving on to the next slide. So that dovetails into a little bit more of what we do. So if you haven't talked to your rep in a while, I would encourage you to call your rep here at National Brokerage because, like I was saying earlier, we can look for those opportunities, or if nothing else, just look through what you have and see if there are any opportunities, and maybe there are multiple. I would say our odds are pretty good that you've got something going in there. And even if we look through, and even if we don't find any, you become more aware of what you've got, and maybe, we put a pin in 1 or 2 of them for 6 months from now or a year from now. You never know. So that's something that we help you do, is we'll help you find what you're looking for, and we know what the points are to look for.
And one thing to interject on that, again, if you've been doing business with us, which, like I said, a lot of you guys have been, know that we can do that searches for you. So our system, you can do it or we can do it, but you can look at, hey, I want to look at anyone age 50 and above that wrote $1 million policy and above with me ever. If that's the parameters you want to look at, our system can pull up, okay, here's your 10 people that fit that parameter. Or you want to look at policies after a certain policy date. There's searches that you can do within the OES, but we can obviously help you out with those as well to find those proverbial needles in the haystack. So keep that in mind when you're talking to your rep.
Good points. Very good points. I always skip over that too, is some of the filtering options that we've got. So not only can your rep help you do these things, but we can show you how to do it too. So if you just want to play around and, see what can be done, we can show you how to do that. These options are available for you to do as well. So speaking of utilizing our experience, some of the main questions I think that come up when doing these policy reviews are, what am I looking for, first of all? We'll show you what to look for. Second of all, how do I approach these people? Like, what message do I come to them with so I don't seem like, I'm coming to them trying to make a sale? And then from there, what am I looking for as far as underwriting goes? Should I advise them to convert this policy? Is it better to rewrite a new policy? Where do I go with it from here? That's something that we can help you do as well. But generally speaking, I'll just point out that it really comes down to their health now versus when they first bought the policy. So if they bought a policy and they were preferred, are they still preferred? Are they worse than preferred? Are they better? That's usually what that comes down to. And then one other point I would make on that is, even if we do policy reviews on all your cases, and let's say we find all the opportunities and we exhaust everything, on the ones that there weren't any opportunities and the client is just going to let the policy go, there's a chance that there could be a life settlement play there. So there are some factors that we look at, but that's another option, kind of I would say a last resort. We don't want to skip right to that if there are other options available, but that is there too. And we can talk about that more in depth on another time, or call your rep. We'll talk about how that works. And then last but not least, as far as what we do and how we do it is our NBGO platform. We've talked about it a number of times, so I'm sure most of you've probably heard about it, but even on conversions, oftentimes there could be an NBGO option. So NBGO, just to recap, it is a universal drop ticket service that works for most of the main carriers, not all of them, but most of the main carriers. We can get you a list so that you don't have to take the application and go through all those steps. You run the quote on our website, show the quote to the client, they like the quote, everybody agrees, you click submit. That goes to our NBGO team. An app member from that team calls and does the app over the phone, and then we send out for e-signature. So it takes a lot of the work off of your plate so that you can focus on what you do best. And it's a little cleaner on our end too, because they're not salespeople; they're app takers, so they're experts at taking the app. They don't leave any T's uncrossed or I's undotted. So that's something else that we do for you here.
Well, and to leave you with that, one last just point of that on the NBGO, it's an effort for two reasons. For one, for you, obviously we're free for time, keep you marketing. We all benefit from that. Number two, though, it's the expectation of the client nowadays. I mean, the client has expectations of a process that they perceive, whether it's right or wrong. I can buy a house, I can buy a car on my phone, but yet with life insurance, I can't. Well, now you can. So when you do the NBGO, because we do things through DocuSign, if a client doesn't like DocuSign, if they want a wet signature, we can accommodate them as well. But typically, the client wants to be able to be done right after the phone conversation. We have that ability because we're using the DocuSign within the NBGO process. Now you're bringing the tools that a client expects you to bring to the table, and just keep that in mind as well. Bolsters up your reputation, bolsters what you do, because now you're the person that made it a more simplified process to an industry that's not very simplified. So again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us on our webcast today. We do know that you're busy, and I do appreciate you carving out the time out of your day to join us. If you have any questions, feel free to contact your rep at 800-377-6344. Thanks again, and have a great day.